Hey, it's Freitag. In this podcast, we interview business owners in New Hampshire and beyond to get their perspective on work, growth, and of course, the weekend. Join our host, Freitag marketing owner Jan Ziegler, as he interviews fascinating guests. We hope you'll enjoy this episode.
Hi, it's Freitag. I'm Jan Ziegler. Today I'm here with Brad Martin, who is the Director of Sales and Operations at WWCS, Worldwide Computer Solutions, here in Keene. Brad grew up here in the region, then, went to Monadnock High, left for 35 years, came back, and we want to chat a little bit about the business he works in and that he runs, as well as it was the drawback and what he enjoys here now, 35 years later. So welcome, Brad.
Yes, great to be back, Jan. This has been a fun experience of returning back to this region and just having the time to get regrounded on the personal side as well as the professional side.
That's really cool. So before we talk too much about all the fun things that we can do here in the region, let's chat a bit about Worldwide Computer Solutions.
Okay.
I know where you guys are located, right at the end of Main Street, but maybe you can tell us a little bit about what you guys do, how many people work there, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, sure. Worldwide Computer Solutions is a organization that outsources the IT for small to medium-sized businesses. And by that, we mean we basically outsource just about everything, and no issues or challenges that the customers are encountering from an IT-related perspective are out of scope. From a perspective of, we won't let you guys get caught up in the finger-pointing process. So we basically make sure that the customers have what I would call operational readiness, so that when you come in the morning, the device is ready to go. From an end user perspective and from a leadership perspective, they understand that they have a stable platform that all of their employees can execute on.
So this really means that you are kind of for IT what we do for marketing at Freitag, which is you take care of all the IT issues so they don't have to worry about it. They don't have to worry about getting hacked, about fraud, phishing, or also how to get into the email.
Correct. Yes, everybody has challenges sometimes on some days, and we definitely make sure that they have somebody to call right off the bat so that they don't have to have much downtime. If there is any, we address that right up front with a very quick speed.
That's really cool. And so how many people work at
Yes, that's a great question. So we've grown this year. We grew by 2 more employees. We've got 6 of us, and we are spread out some. There's 4 of us in the office, and then we've got 1 guy remote in Boston, and the owner is remote in Florida.
Okay, that's really cool. And how hard or easy is it to find employees here? Because I feel like, IT is a very specific field, and you need a lot of training before you can start doing anything. Is that hard to recruit?
No, we have not had many issues, because what I think where everyone gets hung up on from an IT perspective, we don't need them to come into this company with vast amounts of experience. It's actually better if it's not a mass, because everyone gets caught in their old ways of how to do things. We have a very unique way of doing things. We manage the infrastructure proactively rather than reactively. So strategically, that's my job and Peter's job to kind of make sure we got the right design down. And then we flow down from there to make sure that everything is operationally ready. And then every 5 years, we have to do all sorts of stuff to the environment. This year, we added what I would call an evidence vault. So if you think of a police station has an evidence vault, well, we are basically taking all of the data and uploading it to an evidence vault so that in the case of something going awry from a cyber attack or something like that, we have all the logs for the feds basically to get involved, Homeland Security, all those guys, as well as we know the whole process for submitting the claims if that crops up.
So you really also can help, businesses that need any sort of compliance, whether it is for healthcare, whether it is for financial or for federal law enforcement sort of regulations. You can sort of help companies comply with whatever they need to comply with.
Yes. So that evidence vault has a compliance capability within it built already there. So whether it's PCI compliance, whether it's trying to meet some of the healthcare regulations, or just don't want ransomware coming into my environment, that is really where this is making a game changer, because we can detect and stop and recover from the ransomware before it gets rolling. And then you get the email, is what we call it, with the Bitcoin saying, hey, pay this money if you want to get your money back or your data back.
So you guys are really like an insurance policy in a way. I mean, not the actual insurance for cybercrime, but you are the insurance policy of that doesn't happen in the first place. So people with, like, let's say you have really expensive assets, machinery that really needs to be protected from malware, you can help people protect.
Yes. Insurance is a good way to think of it, but it goes beyond insurance because we are, again, making sure operational readiness is there as well as that proactive management. So with an insurance policy, it only kicks in when you have a policy. Yeah. We are much more than that because we're going beyond but there are aspects of it. Like, it's a quiet day.
Yeah.
And yes, this is the insurance policy day.
Okay. I'm trying to come up with metaphors and I'm failing terribly.
That was a good one.
But it is kind of a little bit like you're the car shop and the insurance because you make sure the car keeps running like all year and everything is fixed. But then also, like, if ever anything bad happens, you also help people fix that.
Yes, we have the firemen and the tools and technology to eradicate the issue.
Okay, that's really cool. And so what kind of companies do you work with? I know you do a decent amount of sort of public sector work as well. Can you talk about a couple of examples, even abstract, that you help with their IT infrastructure?
Yeah. So a number of customers come to us in a variety of industries. So we are in the healthcare, we're in the legal, we're in the local government, we are in retail. Where we make a difference is, and some of the customers that we've worked at, I'll go over local government. Many of them were stuck in time backwards a ways, and they didn't have great IT support. We took them from where they were, whether it was running on a server that was antiquated, and we brought them into the cloud space where appropriate, and then made sure all the migration for email services, server migration services happened. A lot of those customers that we've brought on board have been in a antiquated state, and we've gotten them to where now they are, using the cloud strategically, as well as when we talk about that evidence vault, it's kind of like a blanket that goes across the entire both cloud and on-site infrastructures to make sure that there are no cyber attacks and nothing's twitchy going on out there.
So can you only help like local businesses, or do you guys work regionally, nationally?
We do international as well as nationally. So there are organizations based out of India that we are basically their IT operations center for the US. And we have other organizations that are based out of Europe. So it varies on the international front, but they are asking us to get into other international sites because we're close enough, like the Caribbean. For example, they're asking us to get into in a number of areas. So it really doesn't matter. We are worldwide. We could handle anything. The place where we run into challenges when it is completely remote is we need, I call it a seeing eye dog, somebody that can hold up a camera on their head and point, and then we can say, oh, well, yeah, take that cable and plug it into there. It's not hard because we have all the rest of the tools to manage the entire thing.
But so from big corporations, it also still goes down, all the way down to a small town here in Cheshire County.
Yes. We manage about 50 businesses locally right now and continuing to grow. The pandemic was nothing more than a rocket ship coming out. I think that kind of gives you a sense of what we've done from, I'll call it kind of getting everybody's environment ready. And then from then on, it's just proactive management, making sure things are running smoothly and knocking out the obstacles that crop up.
And the benefit of working with you versus, a national company that does managed IT is that you have a cell phone number that you can call, and then you have Brad Martin answering, and he can get in his car and drive over, worst case.
Yes. I am a non-billable resource that because of my expertise, I mean, I've worked with city and county of San Francisco. I've had large organizations that I've worked with. And to bring that to this region, I've noticed a difference. I mean, they're like, wow, you've got a lot of skills. And then the rest of the team has all of the technical skills. I was technical. I really fought and was dragged into sales because I had my integrity. I wanted to make sure, hey, I'm not in this for the short. I'm in it for the long term. I love making sure that the customers have a go-to person that can consult with them and make sure that their business is growing in the direction that they want to go in. So that's a big piece. I have noticed that my expertise has come out in many, many ways, and it's bringing it locally to these customers that haven't had that kind of project management, really forward-thinking design and structures that they didn't even know they needed.
Okay, so to finish this professional portion of the interview, I wonder if you have a couple of ideas of very actionable tips for even somebody like me where, we have very simple IT infrastructure, everything's in the cloud, and how to keep my data safe, how to keep me, make my infrastructure a little safer. Maybe you have some tips for me?
I do. So one, let's take multi-factor authentication. That's one level of security. One level of security is not going to fight off everybody else trying to get in. And then also knowing what data do you have on the inside? Like, is it money or is it intellectual property? What are they trying to steal that you think would crush your business? Obviously, multi-factor authentication is one that has to be on your accounts. The other one that I think is just as important and will free up your brain from in our digital world that we're in, a password manager has to be in play and one that you can trust. We've vetted the industry and we have a password manager, and we've seen some of the customers take it and run with it, and we've seen some of the customers take it and not do well with it. So we've had to come back in and do the consulting work. But a password manager alone will save you time because I'm no longer having to key in all the data. I only have to know one password. So the password manager from an end user perspective is critical.
Yeah.
Then we get into the email filtering, email encryption. It's 101 in my book, but not every single. Microsoft's got the best one from a filtering perspective, and encryption as well is built in if you get the right license level. So those are some of the key ones that I like to pick on. I mean, I think 101 sometimes is the global front door. If I walk through that front door just now, that's the only way to get into this place, so to speak, right? You could bust the windows. But when you connect to the internet, you now have 9 billion potential attacks that could come inbound. And so that global front door, the firewall, really needs to be managed.
Yeah.
Proactively.
And I think the password manager is so smart because I know, one very common advice, and I think everybody knows that now, is like, don't reuse the same password everywhere. And for us as a marketing agency, it seems like password is all we do because it's all the platforms, all the customers' platforms. We have 3 million passwords. And the thing that I actually like the most about it is you can just share them across teams with the people that need them without them actually seeing the actual password. So if you ever have somebody, quit and leave, you don't have to change all the passwords because they actually never saw the password. They were just able to fill it in. And once you remove that permission, that password can stay the same, which you probably say, Jan, you still have to change all the passwords to be really safe. But it's really convenient to manage it across devices, across teams, without having to email back and forth.
Yeah, you would want me on the inside because it's a simple export. Yeah. So then I'd have all, but there are some that keep it encrypted so that not everybody's seen it. But yeah, the team's approach to password management is key, especially for small businesses to medium-sized businesses, because I'm not working in a vacuum anymore. I'm working as a team. And, whether it's the financial side, whether it's the tech side, we have a collection or a shared vault that everybody can access and then very easy to take them out. It's just basic security. But
so do you have a password manager that you like better than another?
Yes. So we've gone through a few of them. I don't like Google because I really don't think it's got the right approach to the password management, and Google's big enough. And so we went after one that is very secure. It has a 5 out of 5 star security, and the community around it continues to make sure that, hey, everything is done. So Bitwarden is who we like, and that's who we're using for most of our customers right now. And everyone who's signed up has been very, very happy. And then the last thing, when we talk about multi-factor authentication and stuff like that, there are these YubiKeys that I like, because if you don't have this little YubiKey, I could give you my ID and password right now. You ain't getting in because they'll say, hold on, show me that you got the code to get in, physical.
The only thing with multi-factor authentication that always worries me is like when my phone is dead, because I have, like an authentication app, I have a problem because I can't get, like, if my phone like just drops out of a window all of a sudden and like it's dead, I have a huge problem. So yeah, but I'd also lose my keys. So that's...
Yeah. Well, you got to make sure that you have a recovery mechanism. And so the recovery mechanism is, so when we manage the whole password manager, we can help that with, I've seen it. Can you help us? And they know you didn't set it up correctly.
Yeah. So you can basically verify, be like, hey, video call me so I know you're the real you, and like I'll give you a recovery code.
Yes, exactly.
Cool.
Exactly.
Well, I want to switch gears a little bit and talk about, it's Freitag. It's the weekend. I mean, it is actually today, Friday. It's looking gray and cold out. We're in December, but maybe year-round, what does a good weekend look like for you around here?
Yeah. For me, I love to do the fat tire cycling. It took me a little bit while to get used to this area. So in Seattle, you didn't have to have studded tires, for example, And so as it turns into the winter time, which it has already, I put on my studded tires. And it is an absolute blast going out on the trail, crushing everything that's on the road or on the trail. And it's been a lot more fun because I'm not bumping into the cars. The rail trail system around here is fantastic. And the only thing I'm missing at the moment is a bike rack, because this fat tire is a beast.
Yeah, it's
he
huge.
is very heavy. Yeah, so that's the only thing. But I've been having an absolute blast going all through the rail trail systems here, and I can literally cycle into work.
Yeah.
That was something I couldn't do in Seattle because either I was on a plane or they were a little ways away, to say the least.
So let's back up a little bit. So you grew up around here. You went to Monadnock High
High
a
School.
long time ago. And then you left, and you left and you were in San Francisco, Seattle, all over the place. And tell me a little bit about what did you do? I know you worked for huge corporations, but maybe we can talk a little bit about it.
Yeah.
And then kind of how you found your way back here and why.
So I went to Monadnock High, went down to Boston for college, to a small business college, Bentley College, and then saved up for a year. The last year was always dynamic, but I saved up, and I was only 23 when I left, or 23. And then I just took 2 months and traveled across the country. I wanted to go explore the Western U.S. And so I wound up in LA for about 3 months. And LA was not for me. It was way too fast. And so I interviewed with a company called Shared Medical Systems. Didn't get the job in LA, but they offered it to me in Seattle. And I didn't have any ties to that area. And so I went up to Seattle and immediately started traveling. I joined on a Wednesday, and then that Sunday I was off to Philadelphia for 6 weeks, passing 8 exams to not get cut from the company right off the bat. And so that kind of launched. I mean, I was with that company for 16 years, traveled from New Mexico up to Montana west, including Alaska and Hawaii. And then went on, that company got bought by Siemens, and then I went on to GE, and then on into, basically into Philips for a few years. And then it was like, you know what? I need to conclude this. The personal side of my life with my mom and dad back here were pulling on me. My dad was going to be alone after 60 years of marriage in the house, and it was raining. All sorts of stuff had happened. And I decided the life timing was correct. I exited Seattle and came back, and I had no job. I had no nothing. I didn't even know what I was going to do. I was like, what am I going to do? And so that's kind of really where I came back, and it was perfect. Bruce Summers is the owner, and he was looking for somebody. Once he saw my LinkedIn profile, he was like, that's the guy that I want to have into the company. And it's been a great growth for WWCS.
That's really cool. And so what did you do for all these big corporations? I think medical device?
Yeah, so there's a thing called a PACS, Picture Archive Communication System. That was my first kind of job at GE. Prior to that was more infrastructure development. So what I'm doing now is keying off of my original development stuff that I did. So when we talk about City and County of San Francisco, I helped develop their entire infrastructure for that entity, and it was a healthcare organization. So the first company, Shared Medical, was more of a software vendor, and I was the guy that they would bring in to assess the infrastructure and then make sure the platform was stable, operationally ready, and so that the software could hook into the mainframes and just run seamlessly across that environment. Once I left Shared Medical Siemens, I went on to GE, and that's where the PACS system came in. That was, worked a lot with the military. So I helped develop their global strategy for archiving all of I call them the scanner people, and I became one of them, but the scanner people, the MRIs, the ultrasounds and all that. And all that data has to be accessible to the clinicians right off the bat. So that was the whole system that I built. And we're talking, $15, $20 million type systems that I was selling.
So you were really it's been IT like your whole career. In
I
different
had a little
iterations.
bit. I had some, maybe I could diversify into clinical as well. And it was not a good decision. I went into the bedside technology, and being an IT guy, if you're in ICU inside of there's germs everywhere in these environments. I went to go itch my nose, and immediately I could feel like the germs just infesting my entire nostrils. And so that it wasn't a good fit, but I still made the best of it. But I got out of it and went over to Philips to do their 3D imaging.
Into a server room, please. Give me like some
yeah.
very germ-free environments. And that's so cool. And now, so this is really like Worldwide Computer Solutions is like the first time you're working in small business, really.
Correct. Yes. Yeah. I had one stint with a startup, but it didn't work. But this is really the first time I've ever really had a small business that I'm helping to grow, really not from scratch. It's been in business for 30 years. The timing was perfect for me to come in, and it's been a growth ever since I've arrived.
So with all your corporate expertise, what do you think about the small business community in Cheshire County, Monadnock region, whatever you want to call it?
I love it because I get to really help the leaders see they have visions. And if you're ever trying to been growing a business, you need to have a stable platform on the underlying platform, right? And if you don't have that, and they've seen what happens when they don't have it, we come along and they're like, I don't have to worry about that. So it's great. I mean, as I've said in the beginning, my goal is not to have the short sales, or anybody can do that. Really, it's that long-term development of the relationships and being involved in all of their business strategies, their business goals, and then showing them how they can get there with us helping them be operationally ready as well as strategically to be able to grow.
And Worldwide Computer Solution has been in business for a long time, right? Like long before you joined?
30 years, yes. Yeah, 31 or 30, yeah. It's been a long-standing company. It's gone through morphations, I'll call it, through the years. But this managed services piece has been in business for a long time. Yeah. We've had relationships with one of the customers specifically for over 30 years.
That's incredible. And then I think it's really cool. Obviously, I know you personally, but I think it's one of the companies that you don't really realize exist and how big they are and what they do, because your office is kind of a little bit tucked away. And it's just one of these, professional offices in Keene, of which there's 20 buildings, and you don't really know what's inside. And obviously, like higher marketing agency. But I think I love that because there's so many cool little companies everywhere, and they pop up all the time. I'm like, oh, I didn't know this was there. And I didn't know you guys were there until I met you. One last thing, other than the fat tire biking, what are you going to do over the holidays now? What are your plans? Any restaurants you like? Any sort of events that you love to go to?
Yeah. Well, I would have loved to have come to the Freitag party last night. I had something else that cropped up that was unavoidable on the personal side. But no, over the holidays, what's nice about the job is I have complete flexibility. I can work remotely because I've always done that all my life. I can be anywhere, but I don't have any specific plans other than just to probably enjoy the day. We usually go out on a hike somewhere on Christmas Day and then on New Year's Day. Those are the two things. And then just as much cycling as I can, or into the gym. It's a little cold, so I got to watch. I'm not as invincible as I used to be. And I did get last year frostbite on my face, and it's taken a while to heal.
That's crazy. And that's what, and people are still talking about the winters being mild now.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, I commend you. I take my road bike and I put it on a trainer and I cycle in the guest room all winter because it is too cold for me. So
yes,
kudos to you. Thank you so much for your time in the interview and, taking the time telling us about the company, about what you do, where you come from. I really enjoyed it. Maybe to close out, you could give us your contact information, email, in case anybody wants to reach out and learn about IT security.
Yeah. Brad.Martin@WWCS is my email address, and then our phone number is 603-358-6776.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Brad, and thanks for coming in. Well, that was a great conversation. We hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, please give us a nice review wherever you're listening to this. It really means the world. And our episodes drop every Friday, so stay tuned for more insightful chats from It's Freitag.